Palos Verdes will head to the polls on Tuesday, November 5th to elect the next 2 city council members. The 3 candidates who are running include former council member Ken Dida and current council members Anthony Mizitich and Brian Campbell. The candidates have been taking part in community forums to discuss the issues.
The League is very interested that people who vote are informed, and that is one of our main goals. And what we did here is offer the community a chance to ask their questions of the candidates. And at first I didn't know how many questions would come up, but it ended up that we had questions all to the end. And a number of the candidates came up to us and said they had specific questions that weren't asked at other forums. So we think that this was very good for the community.
RPVTV has covered 3 candidate forums and will air the programs daily on Cox Channel 33 and Verizon Channel 38 up until Election Day, which is Tuesday, November the 5th. Meanwhile, residents are being reminded that the RPV City Council meeting will not meet on election night, but will take place on Wednesday, November 6th at 7 p.m. The City Council meets regularly the first and third Tuesday of each month. The RPV City Council held a City Council workshop on Saturday, October the 5th. The focus of the meeting was a training workshop provided by the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority. Mayor Susan Brooks spoke with Liz Brown Swanson about the workshop.
We just want to start off with sort of the latest things going on in the city. I know over the weekend you just had a workshop with the City Council.
Oh, we did, yes.
It was the JPIA workshop, which is Joint Powers Insurance Agency.
Authority. Yes, it's a pooled group of of cities that are pooled into an insurance provider that insures the city in liability. So, yes, we did have to have a workshop. It was a mandated workshop.
So who led the JPIA led the workshop?
Yes, they did. Bob May from the Joint Powers Insurance Authority, one of the managers, general managers. And they are elected as well. They're an elected board. And basically, they wanted to address some concerns. We went over throughout the course of the entire day. We started with where we envisioned individually our legacy, and each individual council member wrote it down, and it was all put up on the boards and for us to see. And they were very similar: principled, honest, maintained low density, fiscal prudence, governed with integrity. And then we went from there to see where we are, and we saw that there are things that definitely need to be addressed.
Holes to be filled in.
Holes to be filled in, yes. And it was videotaped, and I think I'm really hoping that that we came out better as a result. But clearly, there are concerns enough on the authorities' part that misinformation being distributed to the newspapers and disinformation or discordance causes a problem when it comes to the insurability of the city, particularly with respect to council, staff relationships, and council community relationships.
What is the message? I mean, what was the goal?
The message was that this city is one step short of a performance improvement plan. Now, any teacher out there will know what that is, and anybody who's been working in business and industry. So it means basically that we really have to work to communicate with the city manager, everybody. And everybody needs to know that in the council manager form of government, how it works. If we were not a council manager form of government, it would be different, but we are. And so regardless of the tempestuousness of some of the individuals, the small group that keep coming forward, the fact is it is a council manager form of government. And if there is something that is wrong that we do not like taking place, then the city manager is the person we address that with, not individual members of the staff. And we basically go through the city manager, and are restricted in our use of the city attorney. This is about the city council, and it has been about, and the reason, frankly, that JPI is doing this is in the wake of the Bell scandal and everything that happened there. They really want to make sure that they have a handle on the insurability of their varying cities. And while we are so transparent, we're doing very well, there's no way you can really compare us to Bell. We have to be very sure that the message we're getting across is a consistent message. Well, we've decided that everything that comes from the city manager regarding factual information that's being disseminated is going to go to all the council members, because that way when we go out we can all distribute the same facts.
And you can watch more with Mayor Brooks on RPV City Talk. Meanwhile, a very special environmental awards ceremony, the 6th Annual SEED Awards, presented by the South Bay Business Environmental Coalition, took place at the Terranea Resort. Councilman Jim Knight tells us more about the SEED Awards and how the Terranea Resort has been environmentally conscious since its inception.
It's a recognition of businesses that have environmentally sound operations or design, and it's to encourage other businesses to go along those ways to be more sustainable in their operations.
Is that something that many businesses really think about? Are they conscious about it, or does it take a big business like a Terranea to sort of show people?
Well, that's a good question. I think it probably does take a little bit of education of how they can do it and how they can achieve it. But I was involved in the early designs of Terranea and the landscaping plan with the bioswales, biofilters, and so on. And when I spoke to Rob Lowe years ago, I said, you can use this as a marketing tool, because you're right, it's a large organizations, and go forth with the sustainable natural habitat in the area, even the operations within the hotel. They use that as a marketing tool for their hotel, and I think it's actually succeeding.
It's got to mean a lot to them because they put a lot of time and work into it to be nominated for an award like this as well.
Yes, and they continue to grow with the concept. When I first was helping them with the landscaping plan, with the bioswales, I think the fact that the restaurants are now becoming more sustainable and so on, the operation, I think it grew over time, and so now it's a lovely resort to come to anyway, but on top of that, people love the fact that it's a sustainable operation.
One of the things that we do is we do an organic recycle. We also do a first stream recycle, which is your basic when you're at your house, you think of your cardboard, your aluminum, your paper, and your plastics. But we go a little bit further, and we're only the first resort in LA County to actually do an organic recycle. So what we do is we collect all of the trimmings of anything organic, which could be dirty paper, which it's not clean enough to recycle. We can put it into an organic recycle along with food, and it actually takes away from the landfill. We're about 35% diversion rate. So out of all of, let's say if we did 100 tons, 75% or 65% would actually go to landfill. But we converted that down to 15% now. So now 15% goes to landfill, but we have an 85% diversion rate, which is quite a bit more than last year.
The Terranea Resort was the recipient of an award for environmental leadership this year. Last year in 2012, the resort won the SEED Award for pollution prevention. And coming up next, we'll travel to Abalone Cove and Marymount California University to see why both places are cleaner and greener. And a Pulitzer Prize-winning author talks about his book on trash, a book that every Peninsula resident is being asked to read. Don't go away.
You must be your fairy godmother?
It doesn't take a fairy godmother to tell you that the right fit means everything. Especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
Oh, that does make a difference.
Remember, their happily ever afters are in your hands. To find out more, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Hi, I'm Deputy Chris Knox, here to remind you of the importance of sharing the road. It's important to slow down when you see orange cones in the road. Many days, men and women are involved in road work, so always slow down, even below the speed limit, and be aware of the workers in the road. By following these rules, we can all share the road safely. This message is brought to you by the City of Rancho Palos Verdes and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
The Peninsula coastline is cleaner after volunteers took part in the worldwide annual Coastal Cleanup Day at Abalone Cove. The cleanup effort was organized by Los Serenos de Point Vicente. Liz Brown-Swanson joins us with more.
Maria, the community is really coming together here at Abalone Cove to clean up the beach. And by the time the volunteers walk away today, they're expected to carry off hundreds of pounds of trash.
We're finding a lot of bottles, lighters, plastic.
What do you got in your bucket?
I have a few styrofoam cups and, again, lighters.
It's going extremely well. We've got well over 230 people, plus another 30 volunteers. We are still bringing stuff up, so I don't know how much trash we're going to get, but we're running about same as about last year.
The coastal cleanup is up and down the entire coast of California, and Abalone Cove has been selected as one of those spots because it is a gem to our city. It's a beautiful coastline, and it's really important to keep our beaches clean. What I really like, what I've noticed down here, is a lot of the kids are helping out, and it gives me hope for the future that they be good stewards of our land, because this is a place that should be enjoyed in perpetuity.
The city right now is actually talking about improvements to Abalone Cove. Talk about that, sort of the future of Abalone Cove.
Right, well, it's up in this upper area we're talking about. We had a grant to help us improve the area up here, but the idea is to try to leave it as natural as possible. So some of the improvements will be some additional trails, some additional benches that are ADA compliant, and some areas over here where people can gather with the kids. The docents bring the kids down here to learn about the tide pools, and there'll be some areas where they can gather and teach the kids. So it's going to be the idea is to keep it as natural as possible, because that's the beauty of this cove. It isn't overdeveloped. It has a natural feel to it.
Well, I've never actually been here before. It's a nice little area. I think now that all the trash is picked up, it will be a lot nicer, and it has a great view of the ocean too in Catalina, so that's good.
Cleaning up trash from the shoreline is very important, especially the little particulate matter that birds and other wildlife can eat. But in addition to trash, we also have lots of non-native plants that were introduced from other places around the world. These plants can really outcompete local native species, and it's really important to preserve the native species here on the peninsula, particularly along the coast and the bluff, because they're home to some of the most rare, endemic, and endangered species in the world.
We're here with RJ, and he definitely gets the award for finding the longest piece of trash. Oh my goodness, what do you have here?
Looks like a water exhaust of some sort, and I cut it in some pieces so it won't be too heavy to drag up the hill.
So where did you find this?
About the tip of the beach on the lower part. And there's a few more there, shorter ones, but I could only carry so much.
Where I am right now, I'm just cleaning up all the small bits of stuff, which is gum wrappers, cigarette butts, the little wrappers off the straws from kids' drink juice boxes, that kind of stuff.
Both traveled here from Mission Viejo. How come you came to clean up the coastline in RPV today?
Well, because I thought it would be fun and because I like helping the community.
Plus, we always come here to hike. We've done this before in Santa Monica, and even though it's at the surface, you don't see exactly how much trash there is. But once you pick up a bag and start looking in detail, there's so much that it's just amazing how much trash you find.
And a big thank you to all the volunteers and the organization Los Serenos de Point Vicente for organizing this coastal cleanup. And this, of course, is something that we could all be doing every day. Back to you in the studio, Maria.
The annual Coastal Cleanup Day is recognized as the largest volunteer day on the planet, according to Heal the Bay. Approximately 11,000 volunteers participated and removed 24,000 pounds of trash. Good job. The City of RPV and EDCO are sponsoring another free paper shredding day on Saturday, October 19th from 9 a.m. to noon at the City Hall parking lot. All documents will be shredded on site. The event is free to RPV residents and EDCO and UWS customers only. The limit is 3 Bankers boxes per household. EDCO will also be collecting unwanted electronic items such as TVs, cell phones, fax machines, and more. Free mulch will also be available while supplies last. For more information or if you have any questions, you can go to the city's website at paloverdes.com/RPV or call EDCO at 310-540-2977. Marymount, California University students held their first recycle fair, all to encourage a cleaner and greener campus. The author of the book Garbology was at the fair. Now, the book was selected by the Palos Verdes Library District as the book for the entire community to read. Liz Brown Swanson talked with the author as well as Marymount students.
Today on this gorgeous day, I'm at Marymount, California University, here with the students. They are holding their first annual Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle Festival, all to bring attention to how this campus and our community can work together to be greener. And on top of it here today is the author of this book, Garbology. It is the book that the entire peninsula is being encouraged to read through one book, one peninsula. He wrote a book that points out just how much trash we throw out, and we're going to talk to him and the students about how all of us can make our planet greener.
Today is really a big day. It's kind of the culmination of our waste management efforts. Starting really last year, we did a waste audit and realized that we throw away almost a ton of garbage every day or every week at Marymount. So this is kind of to raise awareness of what is all of that. Is it food waste? What do we do with that? Composting, stuff like that. Is it recyclable?
Personally, I've recycled a lot more. I'll admit, before I went to the sustainability office, I wasn't as aware of the impact that my waste had on the world. After reading Garbology and being involved in the sustainability office, I realized that I couldn't afford to not take the ideas that we have and use them to make myself and this campus more sustainable.
I'm Kathleen Talbot. I'm the Sustainability Officer here at Marymount, California University, and you are at the 3R Fest. That's Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Festival, and we have student programming going on around us. We have Edward Humes here, the author of Garbology. So we're really trying to showcase some of the main takeaways from Garbology. So how can we practice those 3Rs on campus and in our daily lives?
Why did you decide to write a book about trash?
Well, I was working on other environmental topics, my last few books, and waste kept coming up as the big issue behind ocean pollution, behind air pollution, behind the squandering of our resources and dwindling resources that we need to survive, our food chain. All of it is affected by our waste, and we don't really have a handle on that. People don't understand that we make so much trash, 1.3 tons per person per year in America, which is a world-leading thing that's unfortunate to be leading at.
In terms of waste, we actually have a commitment to keep out 90% of the waste that we generate on campus. We want to keep that out of the landfill. So we're really trying to promote recycling, we're really trying to promote composting and other means, and also just that education and awareness about what consumption looks like and how we can be thoughtful about our impact, our waste impact on campus.
Basically what we have here is we have a list of things that people do to go green. We have them all laid out here, and so we want to get an idea from all the students to see, what do you do to go green? What do you do to help the environment?
Garbology authors here, Edward Humes, he talks about America's addiction to trash. Do you see it that way?
I see it that way. I think it's important for us to realize the problem with it and do the best we can to help it.
I want to recommend that you pick up a copy of Garbology. It is the book the community is reading for One Book, One Peninsula. And if you want to find out more about what's happening here at Marymount, California University, just go to their website at marymountcalifornia.edu.
And in sports, I caught up with a runner at Peninsula High who was so motivated to succeed, she has her own mantra. Anything worth doing is worth doing well. And I found out firsthand from her coach what this student athlete is doing to achieve her goals.
When you said that, she had a list of achievements and aspirations. Tell us what they were.
Well, she wanted to be the Bay League champion in all of the events. She wanted to break all the varsity records as a ninth grader. She wanted to be able to qualify for the Junior Olympics before the 11th grade. And my thought process is, let's just see how serious she is about it.
From growing up and being involved in sports, is that why you had a list of accomplishments? That's a very rare but important thing to have.
Yeah, that definitely added to it. So I did very little track, but I did a lot of tennis too. So it helped add to my mentality as a sprinter. I learned a lot from tennis, and then I could bring it to the track also.
You accomplished so much last year. What is it what sort of drove you last year to accomplish as much as you did?
I would just say that I was just really excited to be in a new school and have all these new things that I could do, because I was so used to doing tennis that track was so different from the way tennis is. And then also I'd been the summer before I came, I'd been looking at a lot of times that were it seemed easy, and then when I got here and I told Coach Solomon about the times and we started working at them, they were actually a lot harder than I expected it to be. So I had to work really hard, and that kind of excited me that I had something to do every day, something to work towards. So
that's interesting. Well, I was going to ask you what the biggest challenge in running and sprinting is for you.
Definitely getting the times down, because times are so hard to taking a second off your time. You're just yes, I did it, because you think there's not a lot of difference between 12 and 11 seconds in a 100 meter, but track teaches you that that second is like an eternity. So it's a lot of work to cut that second out, and we definitely had to work really hard to every second I took off, I was really happy about it, because I had to work very hard to get it.
Yeah. When you're competing at a very high level, and you and I were just talking about the fact that the higher up you go, the harder that it gets. How motivating is that for you? Scary, motivating, all at the same time?
It's definitely scary. I had races last year that I was really good, in Bay League and all that, but when I would get to a race individually on my own on a bigger stage, it was a little harder because the girls were just that much faster than me. So you definitely have to push yourself, but I would freak out in a sense. So I had to learn to calm down and just think that you're running your race and they're going to run their race and you have to run yours, and whoever wins. The time will take care of itself. Just run the best race you can.
Seems like the sky is the limit for this runner. Where do you see her going?
Well, I kind of joked and I said, well, Tanika, if you decide to turn pro after high school, all these coaches are going to want you. Would you consider me as your coach when you decide to turn pro?
Such a pleasure to meet someone like Tanika. And you can see more of my interview with Tanika and her coach on the next episode of Playing the Field. And finally, anyone who attended the local authors fair had a chance to check out this gigantic art piece called the Garball. The Garball is traveling around the peninsula as a symbol of the book Garbology that has been chosen as One Book, One Peninsula.
Hi, Maria. I'm here on the rooftop of the Peninsula Library with nearly 50 local authors, all showcasing their work at what is the second annual Local Author Fair.
We have 50 local authors, many of them from the Peninsula, a few from surrounding communities, who are here to show off their books and maybe sell a few copies. And also we have two sets of activities running concurrently. We have reading, so we have about 2/3 of the authors are reading from their books, 5 minutes each, and then we have panel discussions. Some of the books lent themselves to being grouped into themes, and so we have a panel discussion on sort of a historical theme, one on mysteries, and one on women in writing.
My book is Vice and Vengeance, and I worked undercover Vice about 13 years ago, and it's such an unusual aspect to police work that I felt, these stories have to be told. People wouldn't believe them. And sat down, started writing it many years ago, shelved it for a while, finally went back and revisited it. And finally published it this April. It's a self-published book, and it's doing well. And the best part was, my dad said he was proud of me, so you couldn't beat that. I'm really glad to be here because I grew up here, went to high school right at Rolling Hills High School, and actually did all my school projects right in this library, so it's kind of neat to come back.
I'm now being joined by Drew Rogers. He's local here on the Peninsula. We know him also on RPV TV from his sports show, but you're here profiling your first book. Talk about your book.
Well, it actually parallels what I've done with the TV, and that is it's a book about basketball, although it's not just for basketball players. It's really the true story of my integrated high school basketball team, which was playing back at the beginning of the civil rights movement when most of the other teams were all black and all white, and it talks just about the race riots and everything we survived to make it to the state championship game.
And the name of the book is Before the Spotlight. Talk about the title.
Well, actually, that's key because the bond that I formed and that the white players formed with the black players was all about pickup ball. We played ball together from the time we were in grade school before the spotlight, and so we already had this bond. And when we had this incredible run through the state tournament and the spotlight shone on us, the bond had been created previously before the spotlight.
We're now with E.G. Ryan. We know you from all your children's books you've published, and now you've got your first published novel. Talk about this book.
It's basically 2 parallel love stories that are all connected by 17 independent stories. So a lady in World War II, Brest, France, throws a bottle, her 16th, into the ocean, and it travels around the world until it reaches modern-day Cape May, New Jersey. And on the way, it goes all over the world, stops in different places, and impacts people's lives. So it's basically like a karma. It's different kinds of karma, good karma, bad karma. And I call it Lizzie Justice. Anyway, and it's just I think everyone would love it. It's a book for everyone.
My book is about a former ballerina who returns to her hometown during the holidays and finds herself wrapped up in a rescue of the Nutcracker while she struggles with a broken heart and some new romantic interests. Funny, sweet, and a little sexy.
We like all of that. It's called The Long Dance Home. How did you come up with the title?
I came up with the title. Actually, I worked long and hard with my publisher because we bounced so many titles back and forth, but it kind of mentions everything. It's about dance, it's about going home, and then of course it's about the beauty of the holidays.
You've been in the community for a while. Talk about just sort of the talent, the pool of local authors that we have right here.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I mean, I think everybody knows this is a well-educated community, and we have so many people who either as a second career or as a sideline have chosen writing as their mode of expression, and so the library is really thrilled to be able to support that.
Of course, if you want more information on some of the books these local authors have published or to find out what's happening at our libraries, go on to pvld.org. Back to you, Maria.
Quite an interesting read. Well, that will do it for us. From everyone here at RPV TV, make it a great day.